Welcome to the Cassandra Terry Morning Show. Cassandra Terry, the mindset coach and founder of Manifesting Miracle Makers, rounded up her LinkedIn family once again. First, we've got Brian Smart, Mr. Content and Dadpreneur. He's striking the perfect balance between raising his youngest daughter and creating masterful content. Next, meet Denise Annalise Spiller, the gig expert and relentless traveler and writer. She turns every gig into an adventure. Then there's Jay Pasquale, the storytelling strategist, a poet and voiceover artist. He's weaving tales that'll make you think, laugh, and maybe even change your perspective. Get ready for a show filled with wisdom, inspiration, and the magic of family. Let's welcome Cassandra Terry and the rest of the fam.
Hello. Welcome everyone to Wake Up Wednesday, the Wednesday edition of the Cassandra Terry Morning Show. Brian and Jay are with me and we are here. We are excited to share with you today. And I don't know about you. I don't know what your morning routine looks like, but my prayer is that it is a routine of intention. This morning, I woke up and I hit my routine. Before I opened my eyes and really got out of bed, I started to think about the things that I was grateful for, right? I was intentional about that. And as I thought about the things that I was grateful for, I naturally found myself sliding into prayer, a prayer of gratitude. I wasn't asking for anything. I didn't have a list of requests, right? No list for Santa. I've been a good girl. Would you give me these things, Santa? No, this was as I was thinking about just how blessed I am. The gratitude just slid right into a place of prayer. And as I did that, my energy levels started to increase. My joy started to come to the forefront. As I was getting dressed, I was a little bit lighter on my feet. I was happy, excited, ready to get with these guys, say our prayers so that we can get to each and every one of you, those that are watching right now and those that will see us in the future. I just think about the fact that my grandchildren, 4, 5, 6 generations from now, they don't have to just know what I looked like through picture and video, but they will be able to understand who I really am, what I stand for, what's important to me, because every day we're here, we're creating the space, we're having these conversations, we're creating a legacy, right? You all are a part of a legacy that's being created that will live far beyond me. And that's so exciting. My kids can, at any point in time, whether I'm here or not, they can hear my voice. They can see my face. They can laugh about some of the things that I always said and the way that I said it, and hopefully, be encouraged and uplifted because there's a moving, thinking piece of me that will be with them forever. That's so exciting to me. I really hadn't thought as much about that. But understand that whatever you're doing right now is a part of the legacy that you're creating, a legacy that will live on beyond you. And if that doesn't make you want to be intentional, I don't know what will. Thinking about my children being able to hear my voice, my grandchildren, their children, being able to see me in motion, hear my voice, see what I talked about forever, right? That's the power of all this content and the things that we're creating today. One of the things that I really hate the most about my childhood is that I don't have many pictures of my grandmother. My grandmother was such a pivotal figure in our lives, and there's hardly any pictures of her. So being able to just flip through those memories didn't really exist for us on much of a scale like I would like it to. But I'm the type of person that when I notice or feel something like that, one of the first things I think about is how do I make sure that doesn't happen again? So I take lots of pictures. If you were to look at my phone, there's thousands of pictures on my phone, and that many videos. I have to have a very large system, and because I take lots of pictures, especially um, if I have the time, if the opportunity for me, my mom, my kid, and my grandkid to be together, I immediately recognize that's 4 generations in one space, and that's so powerful that I want to capture pictures of it. Right? None of us will be here forever, so I love capturing those moments. So when I'm missing the people in my life, or when they're missing me at some point in the future, we can look back and have those memories to keep us going. That's an intentional state of mind. It comes from the fact that, one, I have no pictures to speak of, very few of my grandmother, and my father died suddenly of a heart attack in his early 40s. There was no warning. He was here one moment, the next moment my phone was ringing, and we began the chaos of trying to get to another state where he was, and deal with all of that. I mean, it was like the day before his 42nd birthday, I believe. And so that was, and his birthday is exactly a week after mine. So that period of time is coming. My birthday is April 27th and his is May 4th. So we're right coming up in the celebratory period of my birthday, the time, not only the day that he passed, but the very next day being his birthday. So April is is a significant month. Today's my sister's birthday. Happy birthday, Alicia. I love you. One of my classmates, Sandra, you're older than me still. You beat me to 56. Ha. We literally do this every year, me and her and my aunt. Our birthdays are just one basically behind the other, and I love calling them to remind them that for a moment their number is a year beyond mine. And so my aunt won't even take my phone calls hardly on her birthday anymore, because she knows exactly what I'm going to do. But it's a time of celebration. It's a time of remembering, and it's a time to be intentional. 56 is right around the corner for me. So, mathematically speaking, half my life's done, right? And when I look back over that, there have been times where I've been intentional. There's been times where I've been blessed. And despite the fact that I was numb and just going through the motions, I've ended up here in this beautiful life, in this wonderful space, connected with so many amazing people. Sometimes you just have to stop and realize just how blessed you are, right? And when you do, it's an amazing feeling. There have been times in my life where things have happened and I have had absolutely no choice but to cry. Yesterday was really close. I got a message yesterday where somebody made the decision that they wanted to gift my book to a group of students that'll be graduating later this year. So, multiple copies of the book and the workbook, all purchased at once, being shipped to me for me to sign and send to a graduating class of students. What an honor. That's something that wouldn't have happened, that couldn't have happened if I hadn't have been intentional and completed the journey that was in front of me, at least that particular one, right? That was something that was on my heart to do. And to think that somebody thinks that much of it, that they want to gift it to young adults who are transitioning out of a big period of their life into the next, that they're going to take SOAR with them. How exciting is that, right? And so, it's a day full of good feels. And I'm intentional about leaning into those good feelings and allowing that to be my energy, allowing that to be my focus, allowing that to help me move through and to the next. What am I supposed to do next? Right? It's already in the works. We're busy working on the next thing, but not without the celebration and the honor of the current thing and the gratitude for the current thing. So be intentional. You're building something. Are you building what it is that you'd like? Are you going to end up with a structure and wonder, what the heck is it? What do I do with this? Why is this thing here cluttering up my life? You built it. You built it. So if you stop right now, inventory your life, inventory how you're showing up for yourself and for others. Be honest about what you're putting into the atmosphere, right? Get some clarity about you and how you're moving through the world, because you might see an opportunity to make an adjustment. My shirt says manifest. It says manifest your vision, but literally manifestation is creation. And we're something is being created all the time, and we're contributing to that. What's your contribution? The answer is going to come to you because you're going to see what you've built. But will you recognize it? Will you be excited about it? Will it be what you intended? Or did you not have a clear intention? So you're just grabbing at life, responding, reacting to whatever comes your way instead of slowing down a moment, stepping back, giving yourself the time, the space, the grace to get the clarity that you need to even understand what you want to construct, what you need to construct, what are you being driven towards. There's something that's inside of you. There's a map, there's a desire, there's a path. It was placed in you before you ever took that first breath. We were all born with a purpose. The circumstances of our birth doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how old your parents were, doesn't matter your economic situation, doesn't matter where in the world you are, does not matter your race, your creed, nothing. It doesn't matter. The purpose, that was just the process for you to become you. But once you got here, there was already something that you were uniquely crafted to do. That's not an accident. That's not pomp and circumstance. That is the destiny that came along with the creation and the birth of you. And when you know that that exists, even if you don't know what it is yet, just knowing that you're that special, that there's a special place, you're a special piece in this puzzle called life. And until you take your rightful place, the puzzle can't be complete. It can't serve in completion what it was designed to do. The beauty of it gets overlooked because the whole is more obvious than the picture. You complete a portion of that puzzle, and that puzzle needs you. There are people who are waiting for you. There's somebody waiting for your message, waiting for your song, waiting for your gift, waiting for your book, whatever it is that's yearning to come out through you. There's already an audience for it. They're already waiting because there's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing that I said in my book that hasn't been said before. But it's never been said from my point of view, coupled with my life experiences and the way that I bring something forward. My unique twist on what already exists is what makes me me. No one else can write my book. No one else can walk my path. No one else can live my life. And that's all true of you. Whatever your unique gift is, no one does it like you do. There may be thousands of people who do it, but not a single one can do it the way you do. Think about that and how special and unique you are. And that you are literally, you guys have heard me say it before, you are the answer to someone's prayers. When I began to say that, it felt grandiose. It felt like a lot. It was like, but I couldn't help it. It just kept coming out. It kept coming up. And I meant it in sincerity, even though I thought, people are going to think you were so hokey. People are going to think you just out there in the atmosphere, just saying stuff. But I mean that with everything in me, and I've experienced it. I've had time and time again somebody that I didn't even know was around, didn't even know was listening, talk about what a blessing this is for them. How being able to start their day with the Cassandra Terry Morning Show, hear from me, hear from Jay, hear from Brian. They heard just something they needed that day to take the next step. That's an answered prayer. Even if you don't verbalize it, it's an answered prayer. You got what you needed to keep moving forward. That's an answered prayer. And there are so many people who are praying for what you have, the way that you have it, the way you've wrapped it up and put your bow on it is the only way that a certain segment of the population can receive it. If the way one person did it was good enough, was what the masses needed, then it would stop there. No one else would try. But there's something about my little country twang, the journey that I have traveled that has culminated in something that there's a group of people that it resonates with. Even though I've had my corporate journey and that's a part of who I am, it didn't give me so much spit and polish to the point that I can't relate and talk to anybody, right? Take me to the White House. I'll have a conversation with the president. I'll have a conversation with the guy who does the lawn. Doesn't matter to me and everybody in between because all I see are people. All I see are souls that need nourishment and to be fed and to be uplifted. That doesn't go away as you accomplish, right? You don't accomplish to the heights that all your problems go away. Sometimes when we're really digging out and we see the person on the mountaintop, that's what we think. But no, we will never ascend to heights that have no issues, have no problems, right? So it doesn't matter who you are. When I meet Oprah, I'm probably gonna have a little moment. I already see it, a little hallelujah moment. But at the end of the day, she's just a person. She has her own issues. She is carrying the livelihood of Lord only knows how many people. You think that's not pressure? Every time she opens her mouth, there's a camera in her face. Some people hoping to catch her being less than who we know her to be, right? Pressure. Yeah. I face it on the job all the time. Sometimes I've got to deliver news that I don't want to deliver. Sometimes I have to, I sit with people as they're going through their struggles and we're figuring out how to adjust their lives so that they can manage that and keep their livelihood going. Pressure. But when you are intentional, when you are clear about who you are and your purpose in the world, the pressure pushes you forward instead of smothering you. I'm not smothered by pressure. It moves me forward. It propels me forward and into the next, right? It has created a bunch of empathy. So when people come to me with their stuff, I'm in a position to hear it, to receive it, to almost feel it. So we can have a real conversation and they know that they've been heard and what they're going through matters to somebody besides them. That's the path that I've walked, culminating in that way. Your path has brought something forward that only you have to share, but you've got to nurture it. You have to feed it. You have to give it light. You have to give it life. You have to breathe it into life. That takes your energy, that takes your focus, that takes your intention. And that brings us to our quote for the day. The key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. And that was said by Stephen Covey. So think about that. Our schedules, my schedule, I don't know about yours, it gets packed quickly with other people's stuff. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. I want you to go here. And before you know it, the day is jam packed. The question is there anything on that schedule that is a priority to you? Because it's your schedule. Shame on you if you let everybody else control it because they have their own agendas, their own needs, their own path that they're trying to walk. And so if they see you as a way to lessen that load or to accelerate their journey, sure, they're going to tap in and see if they can get you to buy into it. But you have to assess whether or not buying into that is moving forward your purpose. You have to be intentional about your time. So before your schedule is ever opened up to anyone else, you have to already fill in, block, time block, fill in, create space for the things that are important to you, your priorities. What's going to get me from where I am to where it is that I'm going to be, I want to be? And where am I going to block in the time to actually work on that? Once you've done that, and you've built in your rest, even if it's just a 10-minute walk at the end of every couple of hours. You build in your priorities, you build in your rest, you build in your food, and what's left is the time that's available for the priorities and the assistance of others. Put your mask on first, and then you jump in and you help where you can. But imagine if all of your time is spent just doing what other people need you to do. Think about the effect that's going to have on you psychologically, emotionally, sometimes even physically. You get frustrated. You feel taken advantage of. You feel like no one cares about you and what you need and what you're trying to do. You build this whole emotional volcano that's just rumbling right beneath the surface in your good doing. Think about that. You're doing good because you're helping people with the things that they've asked you to do. So you're coming from a good place. But because you're not honoring you, your boundaries, your mission, your purpose, there's all these bad feelings that are bubbling right below the surface. So you're creating bad for you in your good deeds. There's no balance there. There's something wrong. When you're doing good, it should feel good. You should be excited to help. But when you give not out of your abundance, you start to put yourself in a bad situation. So you have to be mindful. Your priorities, your schedule needs to be filled with the things that you have to do to accomplish the life that you're creating. And then what's left over is where you start to reach out and do your good work for others. It's a hard concept. It sounds selfish. Ian Van Zant said self care is not selfish, it's self full. It's filling self, taking care of self so that you're strong and you're capable of giving and doing more for others. But imagine going all day with no food. After a few hours, you're exhausted, you're weak, you get a headache, right? You have physical, emotional, all kinds of negative feedback that your body is giving you because you haven't nourished it. Think about your purpose the same way. If you don't feed it, if you don't water it, if you don't give it what it needs to be nourished and to grow into its full potential, it gets weak, right? You start to even lose your connection with it. So it's important. Prioritize yourself and the things that you need to accomplish, the task that you need to complete in order to continue to move towards your goals. Schedule that first. And then continue to fill your schedule with what else there is to be done. So the key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. Stephen Covey. I know I saw a couple of comments come in. Let me acknowledge those. And then, Jay, we will go over to you. My mom says, good morning, fam. Sonia says, good morning, family. Hello, ladies. Grand risings to you both. Let me check one other place really quickly here. I think we are okay. Apper Designs has joined. So, Brian, Apper Designs is the company that I told you about. That's my son-in-law and one of his best friends, where they do app design. And that's who, when it's time for my app to come out, that's who's gonna be who will be creating that for me. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad you guys are here. My mom says, "Amen." Say it, daughter. Encouragement. We can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. That's right. Philippians 4:13, one of my favorites. All right. Jay, you are on camera. Looks like you are ready to go. I will yield the mic to you. Love to hear what you'd like to share this morning on being intentional, or the quote.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at the quote, the key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. We've had this conversation a few times.
Mhm.
I always referred to Renee as the ultimate person to emulate when it comes to living in your schedule or
Mhm.
your calendar. She has everything color coded. She has everything down to the minute. So she doesn't play. She has everything mapped out. Um, and I really emulated her when I worked at the contact center
Mhm.
for the credit union, and having an entire glass wall, maybe a few glass walls, I was able to map out not only my day, but my week, my month. And so it was really a tool that I could use. And we're given resources, we're given tools constantly to be able to prioritize things in our life. How we choose to use it, or if we use it at all, is really what's going to determine whether or not you're going to be able to prioritize those things, right?
Mhm.
Because you can have tools at your fingertips, but until those fingertips move to use it, it
Implementation.
right, it doesn't do nothing for you, and if you and maybe you can relate to this, Cassandra, being in the IT industry, right? Which you said implementation. You could give tools to a company, the company can be there and say, yes, this is what we need. You hand it over to them, but if they don't implement any of the tools you hand over to them, it's really just something to look at. And and that's not, you don't want you don't want an accessory, you want a tool. But
Mhm.
tools are only effective when it's used and used appropriately. And one of the tools that we have been given by God is the Bible. And so I'm going to go to the verse.
All right.
And I'm going to talk about a man. And there are many people that lived with intentionality in the Bible that we can reference. So I'm going to go to Daniel.
All right.
So Daniel chapter 6 verse 10. Now when Daniel learned that the decree had been published, he went home to his upstairs room where the windows opened toward Jerusalem. And 3 times a day he got down on his knees and prayed, giving thanks to his God just as he had done before. That's intentionality. And for believers, Daniel's example serves as an inspiration to live with intentionality in our own lives. It's prompting us to prioritize their relationship with God, maintain
Mhm.
consistency in our spiritual disciplines. We got to stand firm in our convictions. And, you talk about that garden all the time. We have to cultivate a heart of gratitude. And we can talk about that tomorrow, Thankful Thursday.
Mhm.
But in a in this world, on this plane, we're filled with distractions,
Mm.
challenges, and we know Daniel's story, right? His
Yes.
dad, the lion's den.
Yep.
Daniel's example reminds us that, hey, man, we got to remain steadfast in our faith,
Mhm.
intentional in our actions,
Yeah.
right? He's a shining example. He was like, there's a decree to what?
Implemented intentionality. I.
Right. Implemented intentionality. He really took the tools that he had at his disposal,
Mm-hmm.
and that tool was prayer.
Right.
So if we don't use the tools that we are given, we don't implement with intentionality,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to be stuck in the same place. And even if we come up to adversity like Daniel did, right? If we don't have that steadfastness that I was talking about, he would have gone into that lion's den and come out bones.
Right.
But God spared him because he used the tool that was given to him, and that was prayer. So I just thought I'd bring that to the conversation. Cassandra, back to you.
Love it. Love it. Love it. A shining example of implemented intentionality because it's just a plan until we start to put the actions, or as Jay said, use the tools that we have at our disposal. Sometimes we don't even see our tools because we're so busy looking at the tools that others have, right? Well, if I had this, I would do so much more with it. But what are you doing with what you do have, right? Don't bemoan having a hammer when you've got a screwdriver in your hand. You have to figure out why you have that tool, why you've been blessed with it, because there's something that you are intended to do with it. And when you properly use that tool, the next one will be there for the next task at hand. But they have a hammer because that's their role. They're supposed to hammer. You're hanging on to that screwdriver. Go find the screw. There is a screw that's waiting for you. Go find it. It needs your energy, your attention, your implementation, your part of the larger picture. Don't worry about what they're doing over there with their hammers. That's what they've been called to do. Go into your quiet space, go into your meditation, go into prayer to get the clarity that you need to understand what your role is in this bigger picture and what tools you're to use to be successful at your role. All right, Brian, before I get back on the next soapbox, let me bring you into the conversation. What would you like to share with us today?
Was that an original Jayism? Implemented intentionality? Was that original, Jay? Did you just come up with that today?
That wasn't me. That was our mindset queen. She just took everything I said and packaged it up with a bow.
I don't know who it was or when you came up with it, man, but I love that, man. That's awesome. Implemented intentionality. Let's talk about how you implement your intentionality. Let's talk about objectives and goals.
Uh-oh, I think we lost Brian's
And
audio.
then you have
There
to
we go.
be focused to implement it. And those are the goals. So when you start thinking about, setting a pace for your life, when you hey listen, when you think about waking up, when you think about being woke, I think about knowing my objective. I think about being intentional enough to set goals for my day. That's what comes to my mind. If I'm not coming through, let me know. Let me know if this is not making sense to you, and I can break it down a little bit further. But having a definite objective and setting your goals is probably your greatest asset.
Your audio is going in and out. So we heard your greatest asset, and then everything after that is quiet. And I'm not sure if he can hear me either.
Yeah. He's
Okay.
talking about the definite objective, but yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
he's always about that definite objective, and
It's
and
in his book. Yeah.
man, absolutely. And it's something that we talked about early on in the formation of this collective,
Mm-hmm.
the fam. And really that's what it's all about, is that intentional implementation of the things that we need to do to move forward. And I'll go back real quick, and he'll maybe hopefully he gets back on. But
It looks like he's muted now, so we're filling in for you, Brian, until your audio returns. But you can unmute and keep going at any point. Go ahead, Jay.
yeah, and for me, it all came to a head recently. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer to get through this stick skull of mine. um, and really, I just realized I'm such a visual person
Hmm.
that I have to see things to be able to understand things.
Okay.
And I saw in you the shining example of what it takes to move forward. Because I can talk about my book all day, every day, but until it's published, it's just a plan.
Hmm.
I didn't prioritize. And there you said, I heard it a few times prior to you saying, "Oh, by the way, I finished my book." I was like, "Wait a minute. I was talking about my book for like months, and not not losing losing the original file notwithstanding." I was like, you know what, Jay, look at what she did. There's that shining example. And then that's why I said what I said, because I can put it down on paper and plan all day, every day, right? I could color code it as great as Renee can, but unless I use that tool, unless I actually click on the thing and do the thing and write down what I need to be doing and write that book, it's nothing but a plan.
Right. Right. Exactly.
And focus on that definite objective. And that's what I those two things, seeing you do what you did, and Brian constantly talking about the definite objectives. It was like, okay, you got to move with purpose.
Right. Right. For most
So
of us that are listening, it's morning, right? For those of us in the US. So we still have time. What's your intention for today? What are you going to do with the next few hours between now and when you go to bed? When you lay down and you think back on your day, what could you have done that would have made you sleep well because you felt like it was good, it was productive, that time was not coveted? Think about that now. Purpose that into your mind and then get intentional about making that happen. If what comes to mind is a big thing, break it down into the small steps that will help you get there, and order those steps. And step by step, choice by choice, start to move towards that larger objective. That's why we talk about pacing. We're not trying to do it all at once. That gets to be overwhelming. We end up not doing anything. But if you just write for an hour, write for 30 minutes, but do it every single day. Find that 30 minutes, do nothing else, prioritize that for your, and before you know it, you've written your book, right? Whatever it is, whatever your activity is, whatever it is that you say you want to accomplish. One of the other quotes that I see that I really like is, "You are not what you say you'll do, you are what you do."
mm,
So, what are you doing? What decisions are you making, and are they furthering you towards your goals? Brian, welcome back. Let's see if your audio is working.
Yeah, it probably is. I'm in the store. Can you
Oh
hear me?
yeah, it's working well.
Oh yeah, it works inside the store, but not outside.
Well, you
That's
were on a
crazy.
roll. We heard you talk about the definite objective, and you were saying that you could break it down farther if we needed. And then I felt the lightning bolt hit you. Your octave changed, and you were like, "Say, man," and you went into it, and that's when it was getting good, and all of a sudden the audio dropped. So pick up wherever it is that you want, because today was the day where I felt it. I felt that you being that vessel and the message was flowing through you.
It's all good. So, we were talking about setting that video and creating goals. When we start talking about setting goals, I really
Mhm.
believe that we get too grandiose with our goals. Right? We could start smaller. It doesn't have to be those large goals that we reach for. We can start with the smaller goals and build our way up. But you have to start identifying, right, what it is that you want before you can even set a small goal. Goal
Right.
setting is critical to the success of any endeavor. But if you start off too large, you lose that momentum, you lose that drive, you lose your confidence. You know what I'm saying? It can even snatch your courage away that you've had in something that you've been doing for years because you set too large a goal. So when you set those smaller goals, everything else starts to come into focus, right? You start to realize, oh, I can do this. Oh, yeah, I've done this before. You get that confidence, right? You're able to. It's like that snowball effect. I had one of my mentors when I was in undergrad used to tell me, hey, can I also get 25 on 9? Yeah. One of my mentors used to tell me when I was in undergrad, the way to get out of debt. And I was one of those kids when I started. I got every credit card they gave, right? I had to do it. I maxed out. And listen, I maxed them out that first, I say that first month of having them. I went and bought everybody uh, PlayStation to go in the dorm. Thank you. I went and bought everybody PlayStation to go in the dorm. Oh my God. Hey, how you doing? I'm great. And just blowing money. But I was really despondent when I got that bill in the mail statement. I was like, oh man, how am I gonna pay this off? I don't have that kind of money. This guy reminded me, look, man, what's the smallest one you have? I had a little attitude. I was like all of them are big. I know them are small. He's like, look, get the smallest one, knock it out, and then go back and forth. I said, that's a pretty good idea. I could do that. So what happened? He told me about this snowball effect, and I realized it. If I knock out the one, you know what's gonna happen? I'm gonna be able to take that energy from what I removed in paying off that first bill and move it over to the second one. And I keep doing it. And it's the exact same thing when you're setting goals,
That's
right?
right.
Me and my uncle were riding around the other day, and there was a guy he went to school with. He owned a construction company for years. And now he's into waste removal. But before he did waste removal, he was into excavation. And the reason he did all of that was because they all aligned with his objective. So he set a goal. I'm gonna get a construction company. Okay, now I'm gonna turn that construction company into an excavation branch. Now I'm gonna turn the excavation branch into a waste branch. Right? He set a goal. He didn't start out saying, "Oh, I'm gonna build this big conglomerate," because it probably would have never happened. He started off doing one thing at a time, but he had that objective. So when you think about being woke, and I got my air quotes up, you have to set an objective for that thing that you want to do. And the only way you can attain that objective is to start setting goals. And the only way to meet your goals is to set realistic goals. Start small and grow, get bigger. As time goes on, you'll start to realize, man, I didn't know I had accomplished that much in such a short time. You know what I'm saying? You have to be realistic about what you're capable of doing. You're not superhero. You're not superwoman, right? You're a human being, and you're limited in this fleshly carcass. So be realistic. Set the goal that you can hit now. When you hit that goal, you will say to yourself, "Wow, I'm proud of you. You can do that again." And guess what you'll do? You'll set another smaller goal. You'll set another smaller goal, and the next thing you know, all of your goals are accomplished and you that much closer to that definite objective. That's being woke. That's intentionality. That's
Man,
implementing intentionality.
absolutely. The one thing that just hit me as soon as you said the two letters for definite objective, it's Cassandra Terry's acrostic mind came right to me. DO. And what does DO spell out?
Do just do it, man.
Just do it. Yeah.
Listen,
That
listen, Jay, it's so weird that you say that, Jay, because the whole reason I chose the term definite objective was because of that acrostic. That's crazy that you picked up on that. Absolutely, man.
yeah, the definite objective. You just got to do it. And so that's what came to mind immediately. And then I remember an ex girlfriend's little magnet on the door. This is the other thing that came to mind, and I think it was on the refrigerator door. And I walked past it, and I looked, and I said, "What did that thing say? A long journey starts with a single step." That's it. And what you were talking about is taking that single step, and the next one, and then the next one,
Yep.
and before you know it, you'll be at your destination. But you got to start somewhere. You got to start with that single step.
That first step. And
That
listen,
first.
so so what happens is when you take that first step, and this is a quote that I've read dozens of times. You get so focused on the whole staircase that you think that first step is not going to mean anything. But it means everything to take that first step. Even if it seems like the end step is 2,000 feet away, you'll always be at zero if you never take the first step.
Right.
Don't get concerned with the fact that, oh, well, step number three looks like it's a lot longer than step number two. You haven't even gotten to step number one. Focus on step number three after you complete step number two. You'll never get to two if you don't start with one. You have got to start taking those steps today.
Absolutely. I'm gonna go a little further here and talk about something. Uh, ADHD. Now, there's a bunch of people who say it's not a real thing. It's just all in your mind. Yeah, it is. It really is all in your mind. It's a mental condition. But one of the things that they said was the way a person with ADHD or even OCD at the same time, they look at things where there's if you got to do chores in the house, they're looking at it in its totality and they say, well, heck, I can't get this thing done. I'm never going to clean my house because they start at one thing and then they look at another thing and then they go all the way around the house. And before you know it, they visited every room and said, "Oh, that's a big problem." Ooh, and then they go to the next room. "Oh, that's a big problem. Can't do that." "Ooh, that's another." Man, start with picking up socks. pick up the socks, put it in the hamper, put it in the washer, right? And then before you know it, you've got an entire load of laundry already done, right? Now you can move on to folding it and putting it away, hanging it up, whatever it is you do. But you've got to start somewhere. You can't just keep going around room to room and saying, "Woe is me, I'll never get this done." Absolutely right. You won't ever get it done. You got to start somewhere. Pick up that one sock, and I think about that and I think about, my kids when they were younger, and I would just say, you got to start somewhere. You got to say you got to clean this room. So put away those toys. Put the trucks away. And then next, stack your games so it's not spread out all over the desk, right? Stack your games and then move on to the next thing. And before you know it, you'll be done. But if you just sit there crying, I don't want to clean my room. It's too much. Well, if you didn't mess it up in the first place. But start with one thing and move to the next. You know, those
Get that big stuffed
lessons that
animal
you
out the
teach your
middle of the
kids,
floor.
man, you see them sitting in the middle of the floor crying their eyes out because it's too much. Okay, start with one thing and move to the next. Right? You got to help me, Dad. You made that mess. Right? How are you going to get out of your mess? Take it one step at a time. Step at a time. Boom. Do this thing. Put up your laundry. Right? Put it in that laundry basket. Take it to the washer. You got to start somewhere. And it starts with that one single step. If you don't do it, yeah, it's going to look daunting. Yes, it's going to be hard. We always talk about taking little bites out of an elephant, right? You can't eat the whole elephant in one gulp. You got to pull off bit by bit. I hate talking about elephants like that. That big old roasted pork.
You crazy. You crazy. You crazy.
I,
Who said that? I ain't talking about ever
I
like
said
that.
that roast pork. You know what I'm saying? On the spit. I would rather eat that crispy pork, man. Um, than think about an elephant. But that's the thing, though. I'm joking about it, but it's serious. Like you can't look at it like here's the problem in front of you. Here's the thing that's stopping you from doing things. You can't just go full force head on like this is an entire thing that should be looked at in different levels. Let me take care of this part. And then before you know it, it's going to be that domino effect that you were talking about. We got to start somewhere, though. We got to start somewhere. But,
So
you know,
to know where to start, you got to know where you're going. You're never gonna know where to start if you don't know where you're going.
and that's
I can say today.
that's that definite objective.
No, I'm serious. When I
Yeah,
take a road trip, when I'm leaving any town that I'm in, any town that anybody is in, when you leave town, there's several different ways you can exit the town that you're in, but each road is going to take you in a different direction. So there's no need in taking steps in the wrong direction if that's not the way you're going. You got to know where you're going.
absolutely. Absolutely. So I think we said everything we needed to say in Cassandra's um, moving in into her IBM role. So I think what we need to focus on is right in front of us, just taking that one step. And part of it is um, using the tools that we have been given. We can't just not use them, right? It's that implemented intentionality. We have to implement our intentions. We can't just plan it, right? We can prioritize and put it on a calendar all day, but unless we actually act on it, do it, definite objective, we're going to be stuck and we're going to stay stuck. And yeah, it may be a long journey, but that's Cassandra talks about pacing. And if we pace ourselves, start out with one thing, move on to the next. We're going to be pruning, that's the other P, pruning the things that we need to take out of our way, right? And when we talk about pruning, and she talks about the garden all the time, we are then going to be able to see the fruits of our labor come from it. Literally, the fruits of our labor, what we worked on. And we get from to do, definite objective, to done. And we talk about that all the time. Cassandra says it all the time. Anything else you want to add before we cut out? B. So we are at the end of the Cassandra Terry Morning Show. I'm Jay. That's Brian. Cassandra's already moved on to taking care of business. And I think when we look at the quote, the key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. It talks about intentionality and moving, doing, taking action that implemented intentionality. I hope we've provided some value to your morning, your day, your evening. And we're here Tuesday through Friday, 7:15 Central Time, bringing mindset, intentionality, mindset, insights, mindset, actionable items to you Tuesday through Friday. And Cassandra Terry is the mindset queen who helps us do all of that. Come back tomorrow. Today we talked about intentionality. Tomorrow is Cassandra's favorite day, Thankful Thursday. We talk about gratitude and how that helps with your mindset. Also, pick up the book, Soar, because we got to soar in 2024. All right. That's the Cassandra Terry Morning Show. Have a good day.
Thank you for joining us today. Make sure you join us every week, Tuesday through Friday, 7:15 a.m. Central Time for the Cassandra Terry Morning Show. For advertising or sponsorship questions, reach out to Cassandra or any member of the FAM Collective on their LinkedIn profiles. Have a great day, everyone.